So I wanted to show you, I made these really different little shapes of women just making hearts. I'm gonna show you how I did it. So first we're gonna start, I'm using the type of paper that I used in my heart journals and Valentine journals that I just put in my shop. So the first thing I'm doing is making like a circle, sort of like an oval. I'm using, making a mess already. I'm using my Viviva color sheets, just because I have them on hand. Okay, so like a circle, we're gonna make a circle or an oval. My table here is a little bit on an incline, so it's gonna drip a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna leave a little space and we're going to make a little heart for like the upper torso. Okay, and then we're going to make another heart connecting it to here. Now you can do it upside down, or if you feel more comfortable, flip it over. It doesn't have to be the same size. It could be a little bit bigger, wider hips, depending how you want to do it. Okay, now we're going to do the legs. So we're going to, you see this little space right here? We're going to leave that space. And I am going to go like this and make a smaller heart, okay? And then we're just going to put a line through it, okay? And then we can color that part in. I was just playing with the idea, like, can you make a person with just hearts? And then now we're going to make a tiny little upside down heart for the feet. Okay, now for the arms, the simplest thing is just to curve something down. The arms could be in the back of her. You just do that and keep it simple. And then for the neck, we're just going to drag a little bit like that. All right, so now we're going to color in. Just going to add a little bit more water to my brush and just very lightly add some paint. You could also do a wet on wet technique. I'm going to show you that one next to see how you could do it, but it will probably bleed a lot. All right, so here this is going to be like the skirt and the legs, so I kind of want to maybe cover that, the beginning of the legs there a little bit more. So I'm doing that. This could be a skirt, or I can turn it into pants. Just re-outlining it again. It's okay if it's not perfect. I mean, like a perfect heart, because it's not supposed to be, because it's a person. So all right, now the next thing we're going to do is another heart. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do another heart for the head. So this is going to be kind of like the hair, or she could be wearing a hat. So you could do it at an angle, or you could do it right in the center of her head. It's up to you. I've done different ones. And I'm using just one color for this, but you can use multiple colors. I kind of like sometimes using watercolors just in one color. And then you can go back and add marker, like a black thin marker, and do details with that. All right, so this is what I have so far. I'm going to now darken her shoes, or what I'm saying are her shoes. Okay. And then, so I can leave her without a face, or I can make darkened spots for where her eyes would be. And because this is watercolor, it's going to bleed. And sometimes I kind of like the effect, and sometimes it looks weird. I'm putting like a little nose and a mouth, and I'm just going to let it dry. You know, it's going to bleed in. It's going to look kind of weird now. But later on, when if I take a pen to it, I can further define those features, or I could just leave the illusion of, okay, I just dropped something, of the nose and the mouth. And now I just did the little ears here on the side. All right, so now I'm gonna let this one dry and do another one. I cut a couple of pieces of paper. They're really simple to do. I'm gonna try another color. Oh, I'm gonna actually use the same color, but I'm gonna do wet on wet. So what wet on wet means is that you're wetting the paper first, and then you're dropping the color. So for this, it's going to be really hard for you to see maybe. I'm only going to do one section at a time because I'm going to forget where the hearts are. So I already have to kind of look at it at an angle. So I'm trying to just drop the pink and see what happened. Because it was already wet, it kind of bled into the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush again. Now I'm going to do wet on wet and do the upside down. I could almost drag the watercolor and water from here. And now I'm just going to add water here to the center. Not too much because you don't want the paper to bubble too much. But what will start happening is it will start bleeding. Okay, this is a little bit more complicated technique because you kind of need to see where you're putting your kind of invisible hearts. So like there, I did that heart that was for the legs. And because there's so much water here, I did, even though I had a clean brush, it just kind of smeared down. All right, and now I just added some water, some paint. And now I'm gonna do a tiny upside down heart. Because this is all wet, it's just, even though my brush was clean, it's just all bleeding down, which is fine because we're just using one color. And now I just dropped some more color, and I could just, since this is still wet and the paper's pretty absorbent and it bleeds really nicely, I'm just going back and now just adding some more color there. All right. And you see what's happening here is it's like running down her leg. All right, and now for the arms, I'm just going to see if I can just drag what's there. So you get a very faint line for the arms. Now, I'm a little concerned about doing this upside down hair because I feel like it's going to smear, but let's go for it. I won't know until I try. So now I'm going to flip it over. I'm using just water. You kind of have to angle your head to see where you put it, because if you get distracted, you'll forget where you put the water. It's hard to see it. Okay. Now I'm just dropping the paint. Now what's going to happen is when I flip it over, it's probably going to go down. But let's give it a try. So here we have our little art lady. Or art girl, or heart girl is what I meant to say, not art. Okay, now because she's so wet, I can just drag the color. I could do the eyes by just, my brush still has some paint. I'm just doing a little line for the eyes, a little like that, very simple. And then I just kind of like connect it. When it dries, when I connect that, it kind of gives a shadow of where those things are. And then I'm just going to do the little ears. All right, so very different compared to this one with the wet on wet. We're going to let these both dry. I'm going to use another color now. Burgundy. All right, so I'm just going to use burgundy just a little bit in an oval to make the head. Now I'm going to skip a space and just do the outline, a faint outline of the torso heart, or the heart for the torso. Now I'm going to do an upside down heart. Now, the idea for this was when I first started painting, I had a book by Jane Davenport, and she shows these little heart figures on how to practice doing the human body if you're going to do like girls in fashion. And so she kind of came up with this idea, and I just decided, well, I can use that if I just wanted to do a figure just with using hearts, since Valentine's Day is coming up. That's kind of like what I wanted to see. I wanted to make something just using hearts, and then I was like, oh, you know, Jane Davenport does, it's not exactly like this, but it is similar. She teaches the hearts for the torso and the bottom of the body. Okay, now I'm just gonna put a line for the arms for now. All right, and then now I'm just gonna drag a little bit here. All right, and then now I'm going to go back in and shade or color in darker the top part of the heart. And I'm using the burgundy and the bottom. Now, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna drop some of that cherry blossom into the burgundy and let it bleed in. So I have kind of two colors on this one, on the dress. I could do it everywhere, or I could just do it on what would be her dress, you know, her top and her skirt, and then her feet. And I'm going to leave her arms and legs the color that they were. All right, now let me flip it over and do another. I'm going to do this heart in the center. Okay. For her hair or her hat, whatever you want it to be. And then I'm just going to do two little, just kind of, not even circles, I'm just dabbing it to make the ears. In this one, I'm not going to do anything on the face. I'm just going to leave her as is and put her here to dry. And I have one more sheet. What color do I want to do her? Some blue hearts. I think the Persian blue on this kit is really pretty, so I'm going to try to do the Persian blue. Okay, so I'm going to do the oval for the face, space, then a heart. You can make a smaller heart for the top and a bigger heart for the bottom, or you want to make a very voluptuous woman, you can make it wider. It's up to you. All right, now I'm gonna do the other heart. This side, it's a little bit off, not off, but it's a little bit lopsided, which is fine because she can maybe be standing at, like, with one leg bent or something, so, or with one hip tilted, which is perfect. I just added some water. This is a beautiful color. All right, now we're gonna add the other heart. Now, depending on how you draw your bottom heart will depend on the legs. Like if I can drag it more, you see what I did there? They're more pointy on the bottom. And now we're gonna do the upside down little tiny heart for her feet or her shoes. All right, and now this one, I'm gonna put her, like if her hand is bent or her arm is bent, since maybe her hip is twisted, or I don't know, like that. And then I'm not adding any more color or water, I'm just dragging. And then now I'm gonna flip her over. And I'm gonna try to do 2 hearts this time, just to see what that looks like. I like it. I like it. She looks very cute. I think this might be my favorite one. Probably because of the colors. This is one of my favorite colors. All right, so I'm going to let her dry and take a look at the ones that I just did. Okay, so this was the first one that we did. Then we did it the same kind of technique, but wet on wet, and she's almost dry. Then we did it again, smaller, using very light colors and then applying more layers of color to this one, and I like this one a lot. And we also did her hair straight up as opposed to this one, it's to the side. I think this one I put too much water, so it's, you know, very wispy and airy like that. And then the blue one, I really like this one. All right. And so this is the final result. I took some thin marker and I did different designs and doodles on each one of my little heart creatures. And I decided to turn them into like heart fairies, each one with a different personality. And these were a lot of fun. And I just took my time doodling on this. So this is like nice that you could do afterwards and just take your time. And this one I left it as is. Thank you so much for watching.